Welcome back to yet another exciting session. This session is going to be an eye-opener where we'll be connecting our front end to our server and also our database. There's going to be a lot of data exchange happening along the way, and we'll also build a fully fledged web app. And let me show you what would be our deliverables. What would the web app do? It's going to be a simple to-do list, and we have 3 different categories of them. So if you click on any one of them, you'll be taken to this list. And once you go there, you can type in whatever you want to do, like eat ice cream as a to do, and add that task. And if you're done with that, just click on it and it's gonna just vanish, right? It deletes from your to-do list. And if you want to go back to your list, then you click on the back button and here you are. And now let's go into the work list, and that's how you can even do that in here. Add the task, delete any one of them, and go back. So I'm pretty sure you're excited how we're gonna build this from scratch. So let's go to VS Code right now. Yes, so over here I have a folder, my project folder, and within that folder I have my index.js file. So first thing that we usually do, that is initialize all our necessary dependencies. So first we will initialize npm, right? But before that, if you see, it's under this folder. Within that folder you have to go into the to-do list folder. So I'm going to cd to-do list, and once we do that, then I can do initializing npm. Once that is done, here you can see the package name mentioned correctly, the index.js entry point, all that's right. Just click on enter all the way, and there you go, you have package.json. So now first thing, I'm going to install Express, as we'll be building a backend application using Express. Once that's done, I'm going to need a body parser because we're having forms, right? So for within those forms, we put in data, we have to read it and do some functionality accordingly. So we need body parser as well. What else? So we also need our MongoDB. We'll have a database. Okay, so after MongoDB we have not Express, it's Mongoose. So we are using Mongoose on top of MongoDB to make our life easier. And a very important thing that we missed is EJS. So we need EJS as well. Okay, so these are all our dependencies. Okay, so let's go to package.json. You can see all of them are here, and if we need anything along the way, then we will also include that. So what I remember, another one is a request that we usually use. So npm I request as well will do our job. So the next thing that you'll have to do within to-do list folder, you will have to create views folder where you'll have all our EJS files, and also within to-do list folder itself we need another public. So I think if you have watched all the previous videos, you will be able to recall what we're doing right now, and if not, then you feel free to go back and look at the playlist. Whatever you're not understanding, go back and review and come back. Right, so here under views, since we had like 2 pages as I displayed over here, we had a home page. Within that home page you had like different routes. So first let us create the home page, work with that. So I'm going to create within views home.ejs, and once you have created this, and then within public I'm going to add a style sheet home.css. right. So now let's go to index.js, and over here I have already included the boilerplate code, and here we have initialized all those dependencies that we require, mainly the body parser, Express, and also given access to the public folder where we have our CSS residing, and also set our app to listen to the port 3000 where our whole project will run. So the first thing that will happen is what's app.get, the get request, when we are going to that local host and asking it to give some response, right? So over here the get request, it's going to be a function with the request and response, and we'll give it a response to render the home.ejs, right? So I'm gonna write .ejs in here. It's gonna go to the views and it's gonna bring in and display what's written in home.ejs. Okay, so the first thing, what we have to include in home.ejs, here again I've included the code for it. So for here what's happening is a normal boilerplate. We are linking in the head to the home.css. So if you look at here, you have home.css within the public folder, which is one step outside the views folder, because home.ejs is actually within views. So you have to go back one step, so that's why the 2 dots, and then home.css. So if any of this is getting more confusing, you feel you need more clarification to it, then you can go back to the previous videos where we have discussed all of this in complete detail. Since in this over here we keep putting all of these together, I might be running a little bit more faster, but you can always go back and check the other videos in case you are not able to catch up on anything in this one. Okay, so here let's continue. Within the body I'm having a div. Within that div I'm having an h1 tag, right? This is the same thing that I showed to you, right? Over here, this is what we're trying to recreate. So this is with the styles. Now without the styles, the HTML will be an h1 and also a form, and this form is going to post to our home route, right? And it's a method of post. So if you click on any of these buttons, we want to go to that respective page. Okay, so here I'm going to add the styles as well along the way. It's your choice. You can give it styles, or you can just omit the styles altogether. Okay, so let me just give in the styles. So over here I have added some styles for my home.ejs file. I'm going to run this and show. It's going to be the same as how I showed in the beginning, hopefully. Okay, it says some error. It's saying that in index.js line 6 path is not defined. So yeah, here it's not defined because we are not writing that requiring path, right? So if I add this line of code, then it should work, because we need to require this path. Okay, so here let me run again, and you can see it started, the server started. So how do we check that? We go to Chrome, any browser of your choice, and localhost 3000, and here you can see my styles have also been added. Okay, so right, everything is working. Now our next task will be to add the core functionality of our to-do list app. So when I click on this home button, I need to go to that home route. Work button means to the work route, personal means to the personal route. So what do I mean by that? That the route should automatically change when I click right on the home, to change to home, and I click on work to work, and so on. So how do we do that? We have to write some commands in the index.js file. First thing, when I click on this, if you look at our code in home.ejs, it's a form, okay, and the action is a post request, and each of the buttons will post to this route. Okay, why I'm doing this specifically? Because once you can have one form. So if you create 3 different forms, it's a lot of redundancy. Okay, you'll have to write so many things again and again. We don't want that. Okay, so what I'm doing here is I'm writing this piece of code. So when my home route posts, that means when my buttons, when anyone clicks on any one of the buttons, see, if you see, all the buttons have the type of submit. So when you submit, then all the information about the button will be sent. What all the information? The value which is there within the button, as well as the value that can be accessed using the name parameter, right? So this is something that you need to be very careful. Be using is again the name and value key parameters. So name will contain the value. Okay, so any element, right, HTML element can have a name and value, and once you are submitting it, this will also get sent. So that's what I'm doing over here in index.js. What I'm doing is I'm saying when my form there, any one button is clicked and submitted, what you do, you get the name of that particular list, okay, that the person wants to fetch. And that is, how do you get? Simply by using request.body.btn. btn is that name parameter. Okay, So request.body is using the body parser. So next thing, this I'm using console. Let us just check whether it's being console logged properly. Once you do that, I'm going to redirect it to that particular route. I said, right, slash and the name of that list. So for this to work, if I now run this, it's going to show me an error. Okay, but how can I make this work? I will have to create another get. Okay, I will have to create another get, and here you can see based on which button is clicked, that name will be here. So it's going to be like a custom route. So for a custom route, you can define that by using a colon and then writing custom list name. Any name you can write, okay, and you can fetch that particular custom list name by using request.params and custom list name. That means I'm going to write constant list name that is sent over is, that means list name you can say, or you can even say the route name. Okay, the route name is nothing but the request.params. Okay, the params is nothing but will give the route name, and you can just write custom list name. So whatever the person puts in here will get displayed here. Okay, so for now I will render back the home page after all this happens, but I'm also going to console log my route name, okay, so that we can understand whether route is already getting print or not. So we're going to write route name plus, so that you can know the route name getting clicked, and here it's a list name from form, okay, from the form what is getting rendered. Okay, so we have created two things over here. The post, once the form is getting submitted, we are getting the name of that list and that the person wants to access, and we are redirecting it to that particular route. So in this route only we will be showing up that list. Okay, so when it goes to this route, the list will be displayed, and obviously we need to store this list in the database as well. Okay, because if you don't store it there, what's going to happen every time you add in some new information, is just when you refresh it will be lost. Okay, that's why databases come into being. So if you want to know more about why databases we are using, how are we using, and all that stuff, you can watch my just previous video where we discuss about databases and why do we need them, and what database are we going to use for this project as well. I've explained that in quite some detail. Okay, so let's run this first. I will go back, run it again. Okay, and let's go and refresh this first. Go localhost. Everything seems to be working fine. When I click on home now, it's going to go to the home route. Okay, it worked. This one worked. And since I am rendering the home.djs only, that same page is getting rendered. But here, can you see? List name from form. Okay, I didn't give a space, so there's form home, right? But anyway, this home is the form that we clicked, right? So that is getting mentioned, and the redirecting was also happening properly. That's why here you can see what we console log route name as some route name, that is also getting console log properly, route name as home. Okay, I didn't give the space, that's why you can see it's being printed together, but here home is printed in both cases. That means my custom list name is being also accessed properly. Okay, so now we are done with that, right? So we have to style our list, okay, the to-do list. So what we are going to do, we have to create under views, we have to create a list.ej. So here I'm going to add the list.ejs code, that's HTML code. I have added it directly just to save some time. I'll go through what I all have added, what all the elements, the HTML elements I'm using, and I'll also show you what happens, right? First thing, I'm linking my CSS, list.css, and I will be writing some styles code in that as well. The three main components you have to look over here is the first thing, the whole div, okay, the to-do list form div I have created. Within that div, I'm having the first component, that is a form where you can add the task, right? Do you remember that input field, right, where you can write some task name and you click on add and it's going to get submitted, right? So that's this form, the add task form that's going to submit, right, post request. So the next thing is the place where all your tasks that you submit are going to get mentioned, or it's going to get written over there. That's this list, right? So here for now, sample just one data have put, and I'm using a hidden input field over here for some reason. I'll talk about that coming further, why I'm using this input field which is hidden. And this input, the second input field, is nothing but a checkbox, okay? And the third thing is the back button. The back button also is going to be a form, because when I have to click on it, I have to go to the previous or the home route, okay, where you can select from the different types of lists. So I won't keep you guys waiting. I'll show you what happens here. And to say, I've also added some styles to this, okay? So I'm going to again Control C, render my entire page all over again, go back, refresh. Okay, so here nothing has still changed. Reason because in the index.js, okay, when the person goes to the home route or the custom route, we want to render what? Not home, we want to render the list, right? When they are clicking on that home button or work button. So that change you have to make. Once you make the change, you have to render everything again. Now first I'll go to the home route, click on the home button. So here you can see the style, everything is here. You have the input field, the add button, you have the list, as well as the back button. So if I write from here itself work, instead of going back, I can see the same thing that's being displayed. But as you know, we need to have custom information that needs to be displayed over here. So for that, the first thing we have to do is we have to add all our forms, okay, into the database. So this is where we are entering into the concept of database, because once you are getting the person to click on a custom route, first thing you have to do is to get that data inside your database, that there is a home list that is actually there. Within that home list you have certain number of tasks. So when we have that basic thing, that's when we can make it customized, okay, such that it's particular thing is for work, particular thing is for something else, some other type of list. So if you're not understanding that, surely you'll be able to understand that further down the line when we are writing the code together. So over here I'll be putting in some MongoDB code in the beginning, okay, to connect to MongoDB. So let's do that first. Okay, so here you have the mongoose that we have required or put it in our project. We're going to use that, and over here I'm going to create a new MongoDB database and connecting it to the MongoDB server 27017. What I'm going to do, I'll just change this name as, this is the name of your database that you write here, my list, okay, and or you can say my to-do list app. So this is the database, my to-do list app, that will get created when this 2 lines of code will run. So once you have created the database, you have to ensure that within your database, or decide what collections will be there. First thing I'm going to do is, definitely in my database I want to store my tasks, right? So for now we have a list that is there, so we need to store our task. So the task storing schema is this one. So that schema is a Mongoose schema, and I'm going to just have task to be a string that I'm going to put in, and then I'm creating that particular collection that is in the Mongoose and saying that it's going to take in the task schema. So the name of the collection will be task. So the next thing is, this is a very important one, the list schema, because we're having 3 different lists: home, work, and personal. So for that we need to have a separate list schema. So that will take the name of that list along with the task, right? So for where we'll take the task from, we'll take from the same schema, okay? So we'll take the task from here itself. It's gonna be a task and a string. So what I'm going to do to avoid confusion, I'm going to change this to tasks so that there's no confusion. So within tasks we'll have a schema, the task schema that you can write your task as. So this might be a little bit more confusing, so I have an example over here. So here is the tasks collection. So over here you can see we are having just the task parameter. ID is auto generated, right? So this will also obviously be in the form of array of objects, like how it is in our MongoDB. And here is a lists collection. So each of the lists, now this is the first list, it's a home list. So within the task, in home list itself, we're having the name, and here we changed just now, right? It is supposed to be tasks, and within the tasks array we have individual tasks. So this was nothing but the previous schema, okay, in this format it's here, okay. So this is how your lists and task collections will be. Now let's move back into VS Code, and over here, moving on, so we have created our collections. Now I'm going to add in some default items. So within the task, first I am entering these items, and after that we will be adding them into our lists collection. First inside our tasks, okay, individual tasks, then inside our list collection, okay. Right, so here I'm having two items, and then the default items array, I'm going to add in both of them, and the default items I'm going to add it. Now where are we going to add all this? When are we going to add them all into database? So when the user, right, you might know, right, when the user, so when the user clicks on this home route, okay, by default your home name or list in that form should be there in your database. Work means it should be there. One time it should get created in the database. So that's one thing you have to keep in mind, okay. One time creation, and the default items also should be added just once, and after that whatever is added next, you can add it using, you know, that form that we have. Using this form you can add it later. So this form by add task, okay, that form you can submit and you can add it later. The first thing that we're doing is that in the custom name list name route, okay, so we'll go to that. The custom list name route itself, I have to do something. What I'm gonna do is, first I will find whether in my database any list like that is there. If there's a list like that, then I don't want to create it again, right? So for that only this is happening. Till here we already have discussed. What's happening here is that we are finding using the find command. So all these commands, if you're not familiar with it, please watch the database video and come back, okay. So here what I'm doing is that the list collection, I'm finding whether already there is something or not, okay. That is the name is the name field equal to the custom list name. That means is that list already existing or not. So that result will come, okay. If it is not existing, then the result will be 0. So what I'm doing, if the list is not there, let me create that list. So how am I creating that list? By using the simple way to create lists, right? So I'm creating an item, it's a new record, okay, in the list collection. And what is it going to have? The name key, right? And within that I'm going to have the custom list name, and what will be the task that I'm going to add? The default tasks array. So this will get added. So it will only get added if your list is not already existing in the database. That is given in this result, okay. Okay, so if it is not existing, then I'll save this particular item, and once I save it, I'm going to redirect it to the same, you can see custom list name is it's redirect to the same get command. Why? Let me show you. Here if you see in the else statement, I'm rendering what? The list.ejs, and I'm passing in two parameters. One is the list, I'm passing in the result, that is if it was existing, then I'm going to show that list, okay. If it is not first created, then again come back to this particular route, okay. That's what is redirect. If it's not there, create it and come back to this. So when you come back again, what's going to happen? This will be false, right? If it's true, only this will run. So this already result will be there because you created it once and now you're coming again. So then your else will get triggered. Your else statement will get triggered and you will render the list.ejs, okay, and you'll pass in these parameters, the result, that is that form that you want to display, along with the list name to be the custom list name, because when your the form box is there, you want to mention on top, right, whether it's home or whether it is work or personal, based on what you have clicked. So hope this is very clear, okay. One thing that you have to keep in mind is what's happening. If your list is not there, you are creating the list. Once you create the list, you are redirecting it back, because in the else statement, if your list is already there, then you will render the page. Okay, two things you'll do. If it is not there, created in the database, If it is there, then send that list. Okay, I mean you have to display the list to the user with that particular information of that list. Okay, home list means home list information should be there. So obviously now we're sending all this where? To list.ejs. So now we have to use our EJS commands, right? We use that EJS to to make some changes in here. Okay, so we are sending, again I'm going to see, we are sending list. So here I'm going to add in some bit of code that will display our list name. So here instead of home, I want to display that particular list name. So what I'm going to do is create if you're writing something that you have to open up the EJS tag and click on tab. So here if you find locals dot list, if it is being sent, if it is sent, what you're supposed to do, open up the if statement. Okay, so you'll close it down there somewhere else. Okay, if it's existing only, all this should happen. So I'm going to close it right here. Yeah, after the div. So I'm going to again create EJS tag and I'm going to close it. So ensure that you open and close it. Each line you have to use the this particular EJS tag. Okay, so if your list is there, list in the sense if the result is being sent, okay, then what I'm going to do, tap into the list name that is also being sent and display it. So here I want to display the list name, so I'm going to use that particular EJS tag with equal to sign because I have to display one value. So I'm going to write the list name. So the parameter that is being sent is nothing but this list name over here. For now, obviously the result will also be sent, but we're not going to use that here for now to like reduce our complexities before we see how this all works. So when I now run, okay, this entire project again, what I should expect is that I should have a database created, a schema, and also the collections that is created, as well as the custom list. When I click on that home or any other button, a custom list should be also created, okay, in my list collection. And I should also, once it is created, what should happen, I should also be able to display. I'll render this, redirect to this again to the route, and what will happen, the else statement will get executed, and I'm going to render this particular information list with these values, and I'm using this value as well. Okay, let's see how this all sums up. Okay, there's no error, so that's a good sign. One more thing we need to prepare is a Mongo shell. So here, if that all run properly, you should be able to see that my to-do list app database is there. So I'm going to show DBs, and here you can see my to-do list app is there. And let's go and see, first use my to-do list, okay, and then so then you can go and check if the collections are there or not. Okay, so my to-do list app, use it, and then show the collections within. 2 collections are there, that's also a success. And within those collections, if anything is there or not, let's see. Okay, so lists, within lists, if anything is there, no, for now nothing is there. Okay, because we haven't clicked on the button yet, so the custom list is not yet created, or a new list is not yet created. So first thing what I'm going to do is first rerun everything. Okay, so this is run, and then now I've clicked on the home route, so there should be some change that is there. Here you can see the home is anyway displayed, okay, but let me see the database if everything is mentioned inside the list. Yes, so here you can see I had clicked once, this is being created. Now let me go back, okay, and click on the work route. Now when I click on this, whoa, that also works. You can see the work route is also working as we said. See the change dynamically. When I click on that link, you can see work is mentioned over here. And as you can see in your database as well, in your list collection, you will have another object, okay, with the name of work and the task that is default items is being sent. Now is it going to be redundant? That means if I run this again, will my I'll go back, okay, and if I click on work home, okay, again will my home get replicated again? Okay, in my database, will that home field get replicated again? Okay, so to check whether any duplicates are there, I'm going to again find everything. And here you can see there's no duplicates, although I clicked on the home button twice, but only one time it is getting stored, because anyway the home list is just one list, right? So we don't want duplicates to be there. So that code that we had written for result.length, checking whether result.length is equal to 0, that worked properly. That is the conclusion we can draw over here. That means I'm talking about this particular thing. Okay, so when it is 0, that's when we are creating, otherwise we are not creating, and directly it will render the list. Okay, so now as you can see, the list when we are list should always contain what is the to do within that. Okay, the tasks also, right? That is within this result that is being sent. Okay, the result that we're getting, that is being sent. That means what is being sent? This whole thing will be sent. If it's home, then this entire object will get sent, and within that objects you can see I want to tap into this tasks, and then I want to display this information. So that's what we're going to do next. Anyway, the list, as I said, is going to be this entire thing that's going to come in the form of an array, because we're using find command. Okay, right, so now we're going to list.ejs back, and we want to change something over here. We have our list, and within that each items we're going to change it. Okay, I'm going to add in this bit of code to make it more simpler. What I'm doing is that, as I said, I'm going to the list that we're getting from here, this one. It's going to be an array. So the array is first value. Only one document is having the home name, right? So one document, the first document will get. Okay, and within that we are going and fetching tasks, as you can see. Okay, within that document that's going to be sent, we are going to fetch tasks array. In that tasks array, we're going to loop each task, and we want to display the task name. Okay, so that's what I have mentioned over here. This task dot task, it's going to be written over here. One checkbox will be there for it, and one text will be there for it. This is BRLI. Okay, let us run this and check if everything is happening properly. Okay, I'm running it, node index.js, and let's go to this part, run again. Sorry, something. Okay, here, running again and clicking on home. Okay, so here now you can see welcome to the to-do list, and write down your task with the checkbox is here. Okay, if you go back to work also, it's gonna be that way only. Okay, you can see that the default items have been added. Now next task is to for us to write code for this add task form, okay, that we have over here. So here you can see add task form. Okay, so this task form is very important, because when we are going to, so this form thing is, I maybe here form, this is also a form. This form ends over here. Okay, exactly, so this form is ending here. Okay, so the add task, as you can see, you have an input field. This is that input field I'm talking about, and the add button. So you can't add empty. That's why I'm using the required for the input field. It's going to be a text. I'm giving it an ID, a placeholder, and the name as well, so that I can fetch and do something with that. Okay, so when I submit it, okay, so when I submit this, I need to know, okay, one important thing is I need to know which form, because for every list you have this form, but I want to take the task of work task and keep or put it in the work data collection, right, or the work table. I don't want to take the work task and put in my home table or all the tables. The task should go into its respective table or respective collection. For that, we'll have to do something extra. What is that? The value we have to pass in. When the submit button is clicked, we're going to send the value of the list name. Okay, so the list name will give you the idea or the code. Okay, the index.js some idea. What idea? The idea that it's going to give you the just a second. It will give the code the idea where should you put in this task that is written in the input field and submitted. Which table are you going to supposed to put it in? Okay, so when I go to this add task post function in index.js, you will get it more clearly. So here you have my app.post add task. Here you can see first thing what I'm doing is I'm getting the list name. From where? From the list. From list, where is this list coming from? When I submit the form, okay, this particular information, this is a form that we are going to submit. So here when I submit, I'm tapping on the name list, which is having the value or containing or sending me this list name value back. Okay, so once I tap into that, I'm console logging it to check, okay, whether it is actually printed or not. For now, I will go and explain, then we will see whether it's working or not. And the second thing that I'm going to do is that I'm tapping into the task. Now a person has written some task. Okay, so here in my input field, you can see the name is task given. So the value of the input field will obviously be stored in this name task. Okay, so that I'm tapping into. So that is what this line of code is doing. I'm tapping into that. Okay, now once I tap into the task, I get the task. I need to ensure that it is in the task schema, right? So this is what I'm doing here. Okay, so task which is coming from here, I'm putting into the item. It's a new item. Okay, it should be there in which type of schema? The task schema. And here I am writing, okay, task is at key and this is task is from here. Okay, right. So once this is done, what I'm supposed to do, I have to send this particular list item to that particular list. Work, you are writing it in work, then you should go to the work table. If you are writing it in your home list, you should go to the home list in the database. That is very important. So what's happening here? How will you do that? First thing, you find out that particular list. How will you find out that? Using this one that we have tapped into. When we clicked on that add button, we sent in the list name as well. So now it's easy for us to check in the database if that list exists or not. Now if it exists, I'm using the find one instead of find. Reason being, if you use find one, then you will return a single document. It will return an object format, a JSON object. It will not return array. Okay, so when you use find, an array is returned. When you use find one, the particular object only will get returned. To make it simple, I'm doing this. I'm adding the parameter. That means it's going to find that particular list only, the document list only. So if you find that list, just push your, because it's an array, right? So we're going to push where? Within that result that you're getting. So obviously if you are doing it in home route, right, then this entire thing will come. This will be your result. What I'm saying, go into in the result array. Okay, go into the result document that's coming, go into the tasks array. Okay, and you can push it. Okay, so the result is a document. Please remember, within that you have your tasks array. Go into that and you can just push this item within that, and then just do result.save, save the entire document, and you're good to go. Once you save it, again redirect to your, now you save it to database. Now you just have to redirect your custom list again. Okay, that means you're redirecting to this particular page, and obviously now you will be rendering the result. Okay, that is getting stored. Okay, now this all you can see is happening in a try catch block. So the catch over here is any error, means I'll catch it. Okay, and if you see the if statement for saving was there, if it is there also some error is coming, that means your list is not even there and you're trying to save it over there, means if you see the else I am using to print out the errors. So why, you can see one thing you will be confused is like, why am I not writing all this code one by one and explaining on the way? The thing is, if I do that, then I'll be busy writing the code and miss out on some important topics or concepts that you have to deal here, the logic, the important logic. That's why I'm saying watch this, check how everything works, understand that first. That's when you code, you'll be able to get the integrities properly. Okay, so here I will run this, check whether everything works. Okay, so obviously now for now nothing will be logged. Okay, because this will only get logged when I trigger add task. Okay, so now I have entered that code, so I will go to localhost 3000, go to my home route, add some new task, maybe think. Okay, and I click on add. Here you can see think has got added. So you can see how easily as a user I am able to add everything, but in the background there's a lot of complexities happening, right? For a simple adding of a one list, you have to understand so many things. Okay, one list item to be added, you have to understand so many things happening within add task and so on. Okay, So hopefully this is clear. So this is the first thing. So now actually our to-do list is almost over. Okay, only the last part of deleting. Now when I click on this, it's gonna just check mark. Suppose if I have so many items and it just overflows, it won't look good. So when you're done with the task, you just want to delete it. So in that case, what we can do, when you click on this checkbox, we want to delete task. So we will see how we can delete the task as well. You will have to update your list.ejs file. What we are doing here is that within your lists, right, which is displaying all your tasks, within that, you know, we have already rendered the task, right? So what changes I have made is I have added a new form, okay, to the checkbox. Okay, to each of those checkboxes, we are adding that checkbox and the task, right? We are adding a new form. So what is a new form going to do? It's going to post to this route delete task, and there in the delete task route in the index.js, we will write the functions for deleting that particular task. So here, if you look at this one, what I'm sending is I'm sending this value, okay, the value of the ID of that checkbox, okay, the task ID I'm sending, okay, through this checkbox. When you click on the checkbox, what's going to happen? The change, that is, your form will get submitted. Okay, so this is something new that we are learning. Usually when you have form, we have a button and we have submit, type submit, and we submit stuff, right, with a name and value and stuff. But here, if you see, if you want to click on the checkbox and submit that value within the checkbox, then you will have to use this on change is equal to this.form.submit. So once that's submitted, you will be sending the ID. So with the ID, you can find and you can delete. Okay, so now once this is done, obviously when you click on the checkbox, it will go into your delete post, okay, post function of delete tasks. Within that, what am I doing? Within that, I am getting the checkbox value, okay, from checkbox value in the sense this value, the name is having the value ID, so the ID will be there, checked item ID will be there. Okay, so now list name as well I'm taking in. Here I have taken, or I'm sending list name in hidden input type. Okay, whenever you want to send some information, okay, usually in one input field, one information can only be sent. Okay, so if you want to send another one, then you can use type hidden, so it would not appear as any extra element, but it will be hidden, but it will send this particular information. As you will see, when I will run this, you will be able to see nothing will change, only there will be a checkbox and the task name. Okay, this will not appear anywhere because it's hidden type, but it will send this information in the form of list name. It will send this value, the list name value. This both are very important information. This is needed to delete the task. This is needed to find that list where the task is present, because here this is a client side. So when the clicking is happening, it will go to the index.js in the server side, then only the deletion will happen, right, in this particular post route. So we need those two very important information, and we're getting that here through request.body. Once you got this successfully, almost all your task is done. Now simply you'll have to start a try catch block, and you have to find one and update over here. So this is also a new concept. Okay, this is not something that I've mentioned in the previous database session. What is this find one and update? So this find one and update function, okay, in the list collection, we're going to find one and update. So it is taking three parameters. The first one is which list you want. Okay, find that one list. Within that list, the name, right? Name is something, that key that we are given, and the list name is something we're getting from here. Okay, and what I'm doing is pull that particular from the tasks array, pull the task with this ID. That's what I'm doing. Okay, remove the task with the matching ID. So that is something that we're supposed to do. So pulling, and now return the updated document. Okay, so let's see if this works. And once, if suppose this works properly, then the result will be true, and then we will obviously console log this one for our information, and we will send this directed back to our custom list. So obviously now the database nothing is there means it will fetch from the database and display, right? So it will remove the task immediately. Okay, and the updated list will be present. Otherwise, if any error, it will be showing the error message as well. So let us see if this particular part of a code is actually working properly. I'm gonna come out. I'm going to run this code again. So let me go back. Okay, here we go, click on this. So we have this particular thing. When I click on think it should get deleted. Okay, yes, so successfully you can see that it is getting deleted. So here you can see how things have happened. Let's see if in the terminal our information is also mentioned. Yes, successfully deleted, the item is also being mentioned. Okay, so that means everything has happened properly. So here this is something I want to reiterate again, that is here tasks array, within that we are checking for the item with this particular ID. Okay, so here as you can see, don't get confused between task and tasks. Okay, inside the tasks, the key you are going to give is the tasks array, and you're saying we go within that and find me this particular ID element and pull it off. Okay, deleted, and that's how it gets deleted. So now our whole project works completely fine, like how I mentioned in the beginning. All the functionality is being implemented, right? We have a home page, we have a different custom routes, and we are having the option to delete, right, our task. So all these are very core functionality that you can see in any full stack application, right? Any application you use as well, there's some delete option, there's some option where you're going to some other page. So all these things are very, very essential. To reinforce your learning, I would highly recommend you to write each line of this code by yourself, and definitely there'll be a lot of errors that you'll have to troubleshoot. That was the case for me when I learned all this. So when you do that, it will deepen your learning and you'll be able to build some more projects along the way. And in the next video, I'll also introduce you to the capstone project, that you can do it on your own. So that will also be a place where you can create your own application, use your creativity and build your own application with a certain criteria. And I think that's it from my side. Hope this whole video was clear, and thanks again for watching.